All right, welcome to my subtext lesson today. This is for drama, and what we're going to be doing is we're actually going to begin implementing subtext into our monologues. So what we first need to do is really figure out what is subtext. So I'm going to do that actually by showing you a short video clip. Hope you enjoy.
We all know that text is the written words on the page, what your character actually says. But what's subtext, and why is it so important? Very simply, subtext is the emotions and ideas that are going on underneath the words. For a large portion of the time we're acting, we're playing the text, but feeling and thinking the subtext. Let's say your character has committed a murder and you've buried the body underneath an old cabin in the woods you own. In the scene, a policeman is interrogating you. He asks if you own any property other than the apartment in the city. Your line is, "No, just the apartment." That's the text. The subtext of the scene, however, is full of possibilities. Your character could be thinking, should I lie and say no? Should I tell him about the cabin? Does he already know about the cabin? Have they already been to the cabin? What if they've already found the body? Wait, act calm or you'll give yourself away. As you can see, what goes on beneath the words is significantly more interesting than just the words themselves. Whenever you read through a scene, always ask yourself first, what is the subtext?
Couldn't have said it better myself. So we're going to look at what is the definition of subtext. Subtext, sometimes called the inner monologue, is the thoughts and the feelings that are running through the mind of the character while they're speaking. We do this in real life. When we're talking to people, when we're talking to our parents, our friends, our teachers, in our brains, we have this constant dialogue going on. We could be talking to ourselves. We could be filtering thoughts that we wish we could say. And that's really what the subtext is. You can think of it as reading in between the lines. So when you look at a script, you're giving a very one-dimensional look at what the character is actually saying. And it's the actor's job to look beyond what is actually being said and begin to say, well, what is this character thinking? What's going on in their brain? Sometimes in a scene, a character may be saying one thing, and in reality, they're thinking something completely different. If you want more information about subtext, I've put an article on here, and I'm going to put this presentation on my website so you can take a look at that article too. It goes a little bit more into depth into subtext, but generally speaking, it's what the character's thinking while they're talking. And because we write in subtext, it gives us a more realistic view of that character than maybe just the one or two dimensional view of that character based off of what the script says. So here's an example of subtext. Character A says, "Hi Susie, how'd you do on the test today?" Subtext of character A could be, "I'm sure she got an A. She always does. She's so smart and pretty and perfect." Okay? Now, if you just got that top line that character A says, you might say, wow, she's really genuine. She's a really nice person. But the subtext lets us know that maybe she's a little jealous. Maybe she doesn't like Susie all that much. Okay? So again, it adds a layer to the character that's not there in the actual script. It makes the performance far more interesting. A little side note, subtext should always be stated in the voice and the dialect of the character, using slang and proper grammar and contractions, made-up words. If it fits within what the character, how the character speaks, it's perfectly fine. You don't need to worry about writing academic language with subtext. Here are some frequently asked questions that I get when talking about subtext. So the first question is, when do I write subtext? Subtext should be used for every line your character speaks in a monologue, scene, or full-length script. That means those actors who you think are great, who you love going to see in the movies, okay, if they're a good actor, they're writing down their subtext. They're taking the time and putting in hours of work to write in subtext for their hundreds of lines that they have to know and memorize for that movie, play, or musical. I think a lot of people think that acting is, really easy and very talent-based, and while that certainly plays a factor in acting, there's a lot of written work into, character development, into subtext, into objectives. And that stuff is just not natural. That's stuff that we have to learn, and that's why we're doing this in drama. Second question is there such a thing as wrong subtext? Subtext should be related to information about your character, their objective, the relationship to the person in the scene, and what you know about the plot of the script. So essentially, if you can back it up with evidence from the text, you're in the clear. There's really no such thing as wrong subtext if you feel that you're helping your character meet their objective. If the subtext is out of left field, if it doesn't make any sense, if it's not working for the scene, okay, then maybe there's a better choice for subtext. Maybe that is quote unquote wrong subtext. All right, so and that's the great thing about subtext. It can be changed. There's no final subtext answer. As you begin to unveil your character, you may decide you want to change certain things that your character is thinking and saying. Totally fine. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to walk you through what it is you're going to be doing with your monologues. Now your monologue should be double spaced just like this, and you can type it in if you have a Word doc or a Google Doc that your monologue is on. Otherwise, you can handwrite it on a hard copy piece of paper. But what you're going to do is underneath every line you're going to write in subtext. Now I'm going to use a different color. That way I know that if I'm looking at this, I know what is actual dialogue from the script that I'm supposed to say and what the subtext is that I'm supposed to be thinking about. So this character starts off with, I need detention. I really need detention. Now this character repeats the phrase need detention, which is super important for us to notice as an actor. When somebody repeats something, it means they're desperate. It means they really, really want it. And it may mean that the character they're talking to is not giving them the attention that they need. So I might write something in the subtext like, please listen to me. I am desperate. Okay. See, there's this girl. I know, it always starts with a girl, but this girl is special. I mean it this time, really special. So he goes on to talk about this girl. And he says, I know, it always starts with a girl. Okay? So he may say something like, I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say. And stop rolling your eyes at me. This girl is everything. You should see her. She is beautiful. Okay? Again, I'm just adding in based off of what I'm seeing in the text and what I know about this character. Okay? I may, as I continue on, decide, you know what? I don't really like how I started off this subtext, and I can go back and I can change it. So if you're doing this on a hard copy, I would suggest you do it in pencil instead of pen so that you can erase it and make changes if you want. So I'm not going to waste your time by going through this whole thing, but this is exactly what I want you to do, and I want you to take some time to work on this so then we can put it up on its feet in class tomorrow. Finally, I want to show you tomorrow when we're looking at subtext and I have you perform, you're going to be graded on this rubric here. I'm looking for objective, the written subtext, and how it affects your performance. I wanted to have you look at this now so that you can just keep that in your mind as you're writing out your subtext. If you want to practice performing your monologue after writing your subtext, I highly suggest you do that, but we're going to take some class time tomorrow to do that as well. All right, that's all I have for you today. Have fun with your subtext. Email me if you have any questions or send me a remind text. Have a great day. Thanks.